Alright, hey everybody. I'm on my second and final break for the day. So here we go. This is going to be the little tight, almost Baroque style position that I'm going to play. Black's far more advanced, of course, but the idea behind this is the fact that his pawns are further out. They're a little more vulnerable and a little weakened. Mainly, as you can see, the pawn that's at c5 and the pawn that's at e5 doesn't have anything supporting it. So those are called backwards pawns. It's not a true backwards pawn, but it is considered backwards pawns to an extent. So those become prime targets. If I take those out, then the only defenders on the pawn at d4 is the knight at c6 and the queen. And of course I have two attackers already on it, a bishop and a knight myself. Didn't realize he's up a piece. He's got two knights to my one bishop. That move is actually done instead of the pawn move that I did here. Typically in this response, you do that first, but you can do it in either order, but sometimes people do just that. I wanted to do the previous pawn move because I intend to fianchetto my light squared bishop. Oh, I want to make a point here. Oh no, it's okay. His bishop's in a good spot. Sometimes you don't want to put your bishop there if there's a pawn still between, if it would be between the bishop and the queen in this case, because the bishop will then impede the motion and the movement of that pawn. Wow, what an interesting position. I'm a little annoyed because I shouldn't have moved my queen there. I was concerned about putting my queen on an open file. I wish there was some counterplay I could do like this and pressure his queen, but his bishop's got that square covered. I guess this is going to be the best square for me for right now. Not terribly happy with that. I inherently, or not inherently, but I inevitably lost tempo there. I could have just moved my queen there on my last move instead of where I went and have it get pressured by the knight, so that's free tempo development for white. Okay, here's my thoughts. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. And then we do some sort of development with the queen. Maybe something like this, double pressure on the knights, though the leading knight is defended by the queen. But the point I did that pawn exchange for is to have that isolated pawn now at c3. So let's give that a try. Let me just double check to make sure you can't do any immediate counterplay and threaten a major piece like my rook. Well, I guess he could actually. No, I think I'm going to go for it. Risk takers either fail or reap rewards. Alright, excellent. This is good for me. So I give check here. Now, he has to move this pawn here. And after doing that, I give check. That'll push him off from that rank, and that frees me up to take that pawn right there. It's pretty much a one game. It's a good move. You know, he may have done that intending to play that. In which case I would have to defend. And here he can push this pawn, and that's going to be a bit of an issue, but I could do this. Now, if he goes for the exchange, I still have this pawn squared, so I can take that. If he doesn't go for the exchange and takes the pawn that I break my defense on, I can take the pawn that he just pushed. I'm still down 3 pawns, so it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, that was a rather brilliant play, to be quite honest. I was quite impressed with it. Alright, let's defend that pawn he's attacking with his queen. Thinking about something like this. Nah, it's going to leave me down too much material. Okay, I'm going to try that. Oh, no, shoot. I'm going to drop my knight. Ah, I actually could probably lose the game because of that. It's a bit of a major blunder. However, that can be quite helpful. So here, if he does that, he's going to pin his bishop. He'd be wise to do this. But let's say he decides to pin his bishop. I can take that rook. Oh no, see, the bishop's fine too, because then, yeah, I screwed up. Oh well. I think he has a forced checkmate. I do believe he does. Like, yeah. No, I have an out. I have to play this. Right? So, we play here, he gives check, I come here. Now if he decides to play that for some reason, of course that's very foolhardy, and in this position here, he can't step down here because of my queen. So that's the out. I'm actually still pretty much in this game. All right, cool. Right, so we were saying we want to have this exchange. Then I could do this for the discovered attack. I could even just go for the pawn and have a check move right here. And, you know, he'd probably do something like that, in which case, you know, I'd probably want to do this. All right, like we said, castle. All right, here we go. So now we got a little Baroque setup going on. You know, I'm free right now to castle right behind white. And then let's say development continues As such, I might even just bring my knight here instead of going, spending a tempo, something like this. And, he might decide to try to fianchetto. I could come here. So he probably will play this. That wasn't really a good idea to defend with the pawn, because then I can stack his pawns. Play could continue as such. He might castle early. I'll fianchetto. He would want to bring his rook there, so now he's got 2 defenders. I have 2 attackers. I would castle comfortably. Not only that, I can even bring my queen here to bring another attacker on that, in which case he'd probably want to bring his queen over. The only problem with that... No, that's good. That's sound. Alright, so we're not going to see a Grunfeld. No, we can still see the Grunfeld. That's correct, right. It's been so long since I played it. So, right, the Grunfeld continues as such. And there's the Grunfeld main line. Again, stressing the fact that if he takes the gambited pawn, he's going to lose his rook. And then I can safely castle and be comfortable. Alright, now I see his plan, right? So let's say I take here, he comes here, discover check, come here to defend the queen, the pawn perhaps, and then he's got my queen. So to avoid that, I gotta step my queen out of the action here. I'm thinking this is going to be the best square. I can follow it up perhaps by playing queen takes, what would that be? Queen takes c3 check, also forking the rook. Oh, you know what? There's one problem with that. It drops the knight. I'm just going to have to take that risk. Maybe I could have some counterplay. Oh, I can't believe people still try that. Oh my god. Alrighty, that's it. Probably leaving in 2 hours. Try to make a video tonight.